Movie begins with the world in chaos and crime increasing rapidly. So the government introduces a court system to judge people, but it will not be handled by humans. Instead, it will be run by artificial intelligence, and it will operate with 98% evidence, leaving the accused with only 2%. Then you will be given 90 minutes to defend yourself so that you may avoid being judged. This artificial intelligence, known as Maddox, is capable of delivering judgment. Now let me hear your opinion. Do you think it is right for the government to use artificial intelligence, or should they use human courts with emotion and compassion? Also, in the AI court, there will be no human present. It will be only you and the AI, Maddox. Now this situation happens to a police officer named Chris, who is accused of killing his wife. Chris also participated in developing this program, but today it is his turn to be judged. Something that is not right in this court is that it has access to all events of your life, and everything is monitored through cameras across the entire city. Chris himself does not remember anything, but he finds himself here where he is informed that he is accused of killing his wife, named Nicole. Chris tries to deny it, but a video is shown of him returning home drunk and entering inside, although it does not clearly or definitively show that Chris killed her. After a short time, Chris leaves with his daughter Britt, and when they return home, they find her mother stabbed. Another video shows that after Chris left his house, he went to a bar, got into a fight with the police, then started running. After that, he attempted to steal someone's car, but the police arrived quickly, and he was struck on the head with a heavy object, and when he woke up, he found himself in the AI court. All of this was shown to him after he insisted that he was not involved in killing his wife. The problem is that the AI does not analyze things deeply or thoroughly. For example, in Chris's case, it did not show him killing his wife, but it showed him entering and leaving the house, which does not necessarily mean he committed the murder. These are the kinds of mistakes that the AI Maddox makes, and this happens because it is a program created by humans. So, let us continue with the case to see whether Chris will be able to defeat the AI Maddox or fail and be judged. Before we continue, do not forget to press the subscribe button below this video. Also, do not forget to like the video and leave your comment. Now, if you are ready, we can continue. Chris begins efforts to search for the truth and to convince the court that he helped create that he is truly innocent. He starts by calling his friend Robert, trying to prove that he is not guilty and also to help him remember. But Robert says that Chris was very drunk at the time, and eventually Robert rejects him. Chris appears not to trust this program, but it begins showing him from the time he married his wife Nicole up to when they had their daughter. At that moment, Chris realizes the difficulty of the case he is facing. Remember, Chris is a police officer, so he starts thinking about how he can defend himself within 90 minutes. First, he calls his daughter Britt to talk with her. After finishing, Chris returns to the case. Then Maddox shows a video of Nicole arguing with someone. The video does not show who she was arguing with, but Maddox claims it was Chris, and since Nicole was not on good terms with her husband, Maddox confirms that Chris is the one who killed her. It also presents some text messages they had exchanged. While watching the videos, Chris discovers that his daughter had an Instagram account without his knowledge, and Britt is 16 years old, so Chris would not have allowed her to have an account. However, there is a benefit he can gain from this account, so keep watching. Chris decides to accept the situation and begins searching for the truth. He needs a partner, so he chooses a fellow officer named Jack, who will help him find the real criminal. Communication is established, and Jack agrees to help Chris identify the culprit, so the work begins. Chris requests footage from the crime scene and receives explanations about the environment. Chris is very attentive, but after reviewing, he does not find evidence to clear him. He then starts tracking the phone numbers his wife called and received calls from, hoping to find someone responsible. He discovers that his wife had a number that was not saved. They call it, it is answered, and the location of the person with that number appears. After realizing the call came from the court, the person hangs up. Jack quickly moves, and with advanced technology, he uses a flying motorcycle. As they identify one suspect, Chris's guilt percentage drops to 96.7. Shortly after, Jack arrives at the location where the phone was answered and meets a man named Patrick. a hotel chef. When he sees the police, he starts running. Chris watches Patrick's Instagram videos and sees him cutting meat skillfully, appearing experienced with knives, so Chris believes Patrick is the real killer and tells Jack to capture him. Patrick runs to the top of a building, making it very dangerous to chase him, but he is eventually caught. After giving his explanation, Chris realizes Patrick is not involved, and his guilt percentage returns to 98. For Chris to avoid judgment, it must drop to 0. Chris begins thinking again about how to escape the case. He investigates his wife's relatives and friends, but finds nothing. He then looks into her coworkers, while 37 minutes remain to find evidence. The coworkers have no useful information. However, remembering his daughter's Instagram account, Chris checks the time she was online. A video shows Britt suddenly stopping her conversation because someone was entering, and she thought it was her father. But at that time, Chris was still at work, so it could not have been him. The question is, who was entering? Chris asks for his daughter to be called. When Britt answers, she starts crying because videos of her father fighting the police have gone viral, and she is afraid. Chris reassures her and tells her he did not kill her mother. He asks her who came into the house that day, but she says when she checked, no one was there, and the incident scared her. She was recording and even thought it might be a ghost. Chris examines the video and notices the storeroom door was open, and a hand is visible, meaning someone else was inside. Chris then investigates his wife's bank account, suspecting financial issues might have caused conflict. He discovers that Nicole had a dispute with a coworker, and that her account showed a debt involving Holt Charles. His guilt percentage drops to 94.7 with 25 minutes remaining. Holt Charles is contacted, but it appears their conflict was normal and not enough to cause murder. Another coworker named Rob becomes a suspect. Jack quickly goes to investigate Rob's house. The FBI also arrives, but Rob is not there. While searching, Jack finds a childhood photo of Rob, where something seems hidden, suggesting he was not alone. Chris asks Maddox to identify the person next to Rob, and it turns out to be his brother, who had been judged and executed by the Maddox court. Rob believed his brother was innocent, but Maddox judged him guilty. As mentioned earlier, the system makes such errors by relying on incomplete evidence and giving only 90 minutes for defense. Returning to the story, while Jack continues searching with other officers, they discover that Rob anticipated their arrival and planted bombs. There are only a few minutes before they explode, so the officers rush to escape. Unfortunately, some do not make it and lose their lives, but Jack and others survive, though injured. Cameras capture Rob driving a large truck at high speed. At this point, Maddox reduces Chris's guilt percentage to 0, proving his innocence. Chris realizes how flawed the system is, as it can wrongly judge someone without full evidence. He asks to be released, but Maddox says he cannot be freed until the time ends, because the chair he is restrained in can only open when the system allows it. Chris has no choice but to wait. Now we may ask, what was Rob's motive for killing Chris's wife? The reason is that his younger brother was sentenced to death and executed by the Maddox court. Rob swore revenge. Since Chris helped create the system, Rob killed his wife and framed him to prove that the court is unjust. Rob also plans to destroy the Maddox court building entirely. He is now causing chaos on the roads with a large truck, creating massive destruction. And worst of all, he has kidnapped Chris's daughter.
He has great hatred toward Chris because he arrested his brother and took him to the Maddox court, and he wants to separate him from all the people close to him, so that he can experience the same pain he went through when he lost his brother, who had no guilt at all. Now the police were trying to stop him, but he was causing accidents, making it very difficult to catch him, and the main concern was that Chris's daughter might get hurt. Rob was causing massive destruction, creating huge losses on the road, and injuring other people. The police set up a roadblock ahead, and had a remote-controlled vehicle equipped with bombs to stop Rob from achieving his goal of destroying the court building. But when Rob approached, and the small remote car moved toward him so they could detonate it, it failed to work, and Rob passed through. Then Jacques had to go and connect with Chris so they could talk, but Rob said he would not stop what he was doing. Jock said he would not allow Rob to continue, so he fired at him, but he did not succeed in hitting him. After a short time, the truck reached the court and entered inside. Rob stepped out with the intention of blowing up the entire building, and he had kidnapped Britt to make sure no one would attack him. Before everything, Rob waited for Chris so they could confront each other. So Chris was required to surrender himself so that Britt would not be killed. Rob was standing there, holding a pistol in one hand and a bomb in the other. Maddox then had to secretly cooperate with Chris in order to stop Rob. When Chris saw that Rob was distracted, he quickly jumped on him and struggled to stop him from pressing the bomb and from killing his daughter. In the end, Rob was captured, and the police came and arrested him. However, there was someone else who had also helped hide the evidence, and you would not believe it. It was Jock. He had thrown away Nicole's phone, which could have helped capture Rob much earlier, because that phone contained all the evidence. Jock was also arrested, and that is the end of the movie. Now I want your opinion. Do you think courts that use artificial intelligence are better than human courts that are run with emotion and compassion?